So this is the first look, little mini review of the Naturehike Tagar 2. Just picked this up for about 90 quid. I've done the few measurements. The measurements are, total is 1,528 grams. The ground sheet is 213 grams. The tent without the ground sheet is 1,315. It's got 4 guy lines that you put on at 27 grams, 12 pegs at 98. So that makes one peg 8 grams each. So yeah, this is the Tagar 2. I'd say that's 400 mil long, 5-6 inch diameter. Right, let's get it pitched and see what it looks like. So in the bag we've got the tent, which is an all-in-one affair. The ground sheet that comes with it, that comes in a little bag, but I dispense with that, and then the poles and the pegs. So we'll get this set up. So here we are, the Tagar 2 from Naturehike. I've just got it set out with 8 pegs at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one over there, 8. Comes with 12, so 2 guy lines on here coming out, or alternatively you can fix your guy line to this little eyelet here, one on either side, depending on the wind direction. To be brutally honest, sorry the light's really bad, but to be really honest, this is so strong just as it is. It's so sort of stable, and you know, in every direction it's got a real, you know, this is quite short, so when the downforce on that, you need a proper strong wind. I mean, I wouldn't take it on a mountaintop without the guy lines, but if you're woodland camping, it'd be absolutely fine without the guy lines. But then again, 4 pegs, 4 guy lines comes to, I can't remember what it was, 100, less than that. Such a small amount that I would probably put them in and take them anyway. You know, your weight penalty for 4 guys and 4 pegs is not worth not having them. Yeah, loving that forest green, it's beautiful. Okay, so going into the tent first time. It's got 2 little peg out points here. I'd probably replace one of them, this one probably, with a 3mm bungee. It always makes it easier to get that on there. A couple of velcros, and then this will roll up and tie back on there. So that's tied back now. One of the things I do like about this, I've just unzipped the door, is that this section here is really quite close back. Sometimes, I think the older version was like here, which made entrance to the tent quite tricky. I'm just going inside. You've got a lot of space in here. Vestibule, you know, there's my boot. Vestibule isn't huge, but then if you're using this as a one-person tent, which I will, I'll probably store my bag in here, sleep one side, bag on the other side. It's certainly too big enough for 2 people, but then there wouldn't be enough room for 2 people's equipment, I doubt. I mean, we have this small section at the back that can be unzipped as a storage space. Certainly get a bag in there, some boots, some bits and bats, so you could do it, but it'd be a bit tight. I see this more as a one-man tent, small vestibule. This is quite nice, ties up out of the way really easily. I often like the ones that go down into a pocket. They're a lot quicker and simpler, and sometimes these are a pain, but this one is just one time, just rolled it up and worked a treat. So that's not too much of an issue. Single skin, as you can see, tape seams, little light hook, vents at the back. Yeah, I like it. Another little vent here, at least the outside, the little prop open. Move around this way. We have a little pocket at the head end, only small. What is it, 200mm wide? Enough to put your phone in, whatever. Keep your keys out of the way. Somewhere to find your watch and your torch in the middle of the night. But there's loads of space on the floor for all the rest of your kit. I mean, this is a relatively budget tent, and I think it's punching well above its price point. It really is. I mean, a lot of people worry about single skin tents. I've used tarp tents and things in the past, and as long as you're pitching, using them in summer, where it's relatively dry and there's a bit of a breeze, condensation is not that much of an issue. Yeah, just looking at the vestibule space now, this is hard to tell, but this really it doesn't project out. The apex of the tent pole is up here. This is really vertical, so it doesn't really give you any space until you get to about here, and then it sweeps away. So cooking in this tent with a stove here, small stove, bump, you're right into it. So I wouldn't suggest try to cook in here with a gas stove, or certainly not an alcohol stove. I mean, again, there's my boot, size 10. That's right at the back of the tent. I've got another couple of inches in front of me. So what's that? It's not huge. 200, 400 mil. But then we have all this space here, and then this space here, and the head height in here is just massive. I mean, well, now I've got to scoot back to the back. I'm sitting right in the back corner, upright. I'm probably nearly 2 feet away from the apex of the tent. Apex of the tent here, 2 feet nearly, 1.5 foot maybe to my head, and I'm 5'10". So the amount of space in here is just unbelievable. But then you would kind of want that space for a single skin. You're getting moisture condensation in. You can sleep diagonally, keep your kit away from the sides of the tent, and then mop it down if it does pick up in the morning. It's a shame that this isn't vented zipped from the top. It's only a one-way zip. Then again, I guess if it was relatively dry, you would worry about your condensation. Just leave it like that. Zip the inner up, let the air flow through there. I'm thinking about maybe extending that up slightly to lift this higher, to get cross airflow from this straight across the tent and then out through there in summer. Try and mitigate that, because I mean, although this is here, I can't imagine it helping a massive amount. It's quite tight, to be brutally honest. And these vents at the ends, yeah, they don't really, the tent almost comes all the way to the ground, so there's not a lot of airflow there. It's a shame. So I find if you open the door this way around instead, gives you a lot more head height here for access in and out. It's a much bigger opening. Still enough room for your boots, a few bits and bats, but just gives that nicer access point. And I guess if you're sitting here cooking, I'd definitely do it this way around. So it might be worth thinking about when you're orientating it for the wind. One of the things I have just noticed is that little strap down there, which goes onto the pegging point, ties back to this point in the ground sheet, and there is no string running through to the one on the other side. So all the stress is going at this point. I've actually turned the peg round. I'll show you in a second when I go out. But there was too much stress at this point. Little diddy stitch in there, literally about that big. So that was stressing all the way across on these sort of angles. So I think I'm going to, I'll show you that on the outside. So what I've done is I've actually put the peg in this small loop here, and I actually pulled the pole in the ways. If I take that out, and then that goes there, that's where you would normally peg it. If I lift that to its full extension, all that stress now, see it, is now pulling straight on that tie point there. Not so great. So I'm definitely going to run a small line from here, somewhere off here, back to the one on the other side, just to stop these two poles from stretching apart too far. I mean, the pole was quite hard to get in, to be brutally honest, but the nylon will stretch in time, so that's to be expected. There is no adjustment. There's no adjustment points on here, on any of them. You know, this one here, it's just a loop, and that's it. So I might put a what do you call it? A line lock on here, so I can set this out on a shallower angle, giving me more space underneath. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm super impressed with it. I really am. 1.5K for a 2-man tent of this quality is impressive. So there we are then, the Naturehike Tagar 2 in forest green, coming in at just over 1.5 kilograms all in, ground sheet, pegs, guy lines, the whole shebang. You could take a few bits off, but brutally honest, you won't be saving much more than 100 grams. I don't think it's worth it. I'll leave it as it is. I mean, it's quite windy today, and look how stable it is. I mean, I'm not in the most exposed place, but it feels a solid little tent. Really does. That's probably due to the internal, because the fly screens either side are stitched in. It gives it a lot of strength in these directions. So if I was putting a guy line on it, I would probably just put a single one here down, just to stop the pole in the center bending that way. This out here seems almost irrelevant. This material left and right is doing such a good job as a guy line by itself, you know, up to the apex and down again. This vent doesn't stick out that much, so the amount of wind catch on that is very minimal. Yeah, really pleased with it. Well, that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed.